Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this afternoon session. We have labeled today's session as Use Data and Insights to Help Your Business Grow. Today, facilitating today's session is Matapelo Sihume from SchoolNet South Africa, and I am with the co-facilitator, or rather the co-facilitator, or rather the moderator, who is in the chat box. Her name is Quincy Fala. She'll be assisting you with all the questions that you have. So if you have questions, any comments that you want to share with us in this training session, please feel free to just drop your comments and chats within the chat box, and we will then focus on them as we move along. We hope that you will enjoy this session. It's going to be a beautiful session because we'll be focusing on data and how we can use data to inform our businesses and make them grow. Right, so what are we going to look at in this training session? Firstly, we're going to understand what the right questions are to ask in order to ask whoever our clients are, so that we use that information to build and make sure that our businesses grow. And then what we'll do next is we'll identify the best tools to use in order to market our business, or in order to look at how we can analyze the data that we collect. Right, so the very first question that we're going to ask is, what words would you use to describe your customers? So when you think about your business, can you have a deeper look and maybe share one or two words in which you describe your customers? Does anybody want to share? Would somebody like to share that information with us? I'll give some time. If you've joined us, just share with us, how or what words can you use to describe your customers? I see Brenda has joined us. Thank you, Hlengiwe Mfeka, for joining us. I see Connie Tlaka has also joined us, along with Ambi Siwe. If you think about your business in general, what words would you use to describe your customers? And in the event you have not really started the actual business, in the event that you are thinking of a business, what words would you use to describe the customers that you're looking for? Right. Once you think about that, I think that we'll delve right into the first part of today's agenda, which is understanding the right questions to ask. We're going to take a deeper look as to what questions do you need to ask in order to get information that informs information that informs your next level in terms of business and growth. Right. So the first part that you want to look at is you need to look at the full process of analytics, or the full process of analyzing. So the first question that you're going to ask is, what is your objective in analyzing? So whilst you're looking to ask questions about your customers or even the product that you're bringing forth, it is important to ask, what are you trying to achieve? What are your objectives? The second thing that you're trying to do is, what questions do you need to address? Because then this will inform how you send out your marketing or the questions that you bring forth. And where do you get this information from? So is it from the current database you have of your clients, or do you use a wider net of people that you could reach who are potential customers? And what do you do with the information? So once you've asked for this information, what do you do? So we're going to delve into the first step, is what are the objectives? Let's look at some of the objectives. So when you're analyzing or when you're looking for this data, some of the objectives are as follows. What you're trying to do is you're trying to inform people about your business. So you want people rather to know what the business is about. And you want to sell more of the product that you're selling or the service that you're providing. And you're trying to identify the most valuable customers and making sure that you engage your current customers so that they keep on coming back for the service or the products that you sell, right? And the second step in the process is what questions do you ask? And what do we mean by what questions do you ask? When we look at what questions do you ask, we look at what is called the REEN concept. This concept takes a deeper look at the target audience and how you reach them. So you look at where these people are based and how are you reaching them. Are they finding what they need? So you engaging them. Thirdly, are they booking or they're reserving the service? So you activate. And lastly, you nurture the customers. Are they coming back to the site? Are they coming back to buy the products? So after you've tried to reach them, after you've engaged them, and after you've actually made the service available, are they coming back for the service? So is the service good enough, or is the product good enough, or is the product and how you market it good enough such that customers always remember you as a service provider or as a supplier, right? The third step is the process of analyzing, or rather analytics. And when we look at this part, is where do I get, or rather, what tools can I use to analyze the data and the insights? And where does this data come from? So when you look at your analytics, you look at the platform that you are working on, and look at what type of information it provides, and where where it provides this data, or where this data actually sits. Right. And when we look at the second step in analyzing, we look at gaining the correct information, right? And well, when we look at gaining the correct information, what happens is we look at, for instance, like we said in the previous slide, what social channels do they use? And if there are social channels that they're using, are they doing, or are they using organic search, or are they using websites, or are they using paid for search engines? So there's various platforms that one looks at in terms of getting the information that they're trying to get. And the final step in analyzing, or in the analytics, is the question around, what do I do with the information that you have? So once you've worked so hard to find what the objectives are, to ask the correct questions, and to ask the correct questions in the correct platform, and after you've considered where you get the information from, the next or the final step would be, what do I do with this information that I have gathered? Right. So we're going to delve into using insights. So here listed are some of the ways insights and data can be used. So the first one is to identify market trends. So you know that what is in demand because of ABC, and how the demand then affects what you're offering. So you get the opportunity to study what is it that triggers the demand, and what is it that causes the demand to go down. So you learn all those tricks, and then you're able to market or focus your marketing in the right way. The next thing is you ascertain your user's experience to better understand their path to purchase. So you build on the user experience, and you follow what the users are looking for in the site, and then you build on that information to better understand your customers, and so that you can create a path for them to come and get your services or to purchase your product. The third thing that you want to do is that you identify what content users like to influence your content marketing plan. So you look at what is it about your product, or what it is that influence your products, and then you create a market for that as well. And then lastly, you leverage insight to shape your overall strategy. So whatever information you get is key, because that is what's going to direct you, and how you're going to channel your strategy moving forward. We're going to pause a bit and ask if there are any questions so far with the learnings that we have in place. Right, I see there's been some great interactions happening in the chat box. Thank you so much, everybody. I see Sifala has says, my customers are eager to learn and understand. I guess people are still responding to the initial question that we asked, where we said, if you're thinking or considering about your customer base, what type of questions would you be asking? And she, in response, has said, my customers are eager to learn and understand my product, which is great. Thanks for that feedback. And Uhlengiwe Mfeka has said, interested and keen to my product. So Ms. Mfeka knows that her customers are keen on the product that she has. And I guess using some of the pointers that we've just spoken about, she now has a better understanding as to how she can use data to influence that the customers are not just keen about the product, but that they actually move to the next level, which is buy the product or the service. Thank you so much for the big feedback that we have received so far. So we are now going to move into the next part of the presentation, which speaks about identifying the best tools to use when you're trying to analyze. So, which analytic tools do you currently use? If possible, can you just share in the chat box, are there any analytical tools that you are using? Would you like to share what these tools are? And possibly, if you can, just jot down how are you using these tools? We'll just give a second there and give people the opportunity to respond to the question rather, which is, which analytic tools do you currently use in your business? Or if your business is not up and running as yet, if you're thinking of starting a business, are you already thinking about using analytical tools? And are there any analytical tools that you have in mind already? Can you share some of these with us? And so that we can see if we are going to look or have a look at some of these. I see that Motepe Sifala says, I use Google Analytics. It's been very helpful. It's so lovely to hear, or rather to read, that there are people out there who are actually already using analytics. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at the different tools that we can use. Right. So the first one that we have is online platforms. And a lot of people use online platforms because they offer great features to get information about your customers. So these platforms have a lot of added features built within them so that you are able to better understand your customers. What other platforms that we have are your social media. So we're looking at your Twitter account, your Facebook account, and Hootsuite. A lot of these social media platforms are now, or rather have now built in analytics with them. And I guess the drive is because more and more organizations see that, the social media platforms are a great platform where you are able to market a business. And if you are going to use that social media as a platform to market the business, one obviously needs to be able to get the kind of analytic data that you would ordinarily get from an analytical tool. So that what happens is social media then has built all these platforms within, and you are now able to track what it is really your customers are following, and what type of posts it is that they are sharing, what type of posts it is that they are looking at, and that they are commenting on, so that you see which of your product actually is selling the most. The other type of tool that I think we underestimate is the organic search. Google currently comes with a standard search console, and it's called GMB. This console also is able to, is used as a tool for analytics. We also have websites that have analytics built on them, and they have these analytics built on them because they don't want to lose track of the traffic that's on site. So what happens is, as the developers build the website, they build the analytics as part of it. And that information sort of informs how the website can be changed, updated, and where and how the products can then be marketed and posted. And lastly, we get the paid search, such as Google Ads. We'll take us a kind of a deeper delve into some of these and see what the benefits from each are. Right? So the first one that we're going to look at is Facebook Insights. And when you look at Facebook Insights, you will realize that it shows information about users or customers in this case. So what type of information are we talking about? We're talking about the activities that they have, the page views, like I was saying, all the traffic that's happening in the site, the number of likes, the number of reaches, the number of page engagements, and the number of followers. So all this data is data that then informs a person who wants to use Facebook Insights as an analytical tool or for analytics. The next one that we're going to look at, perhaps in a bit of depth, is the Google Search Console. So the Google Search Console tools reports help you to measure your site's traffic performance. It helps fix issues and makes your site perform well in Google search results. So when you have set this Google Search Console right, it will assist you so that your search traffic and performance works well, and where there are any issues in terms of the search criteria, it's able to fix issues, and people are able then to find you better. So it works more like an advisor for you, and sort of directs how you can position your business, and so that it you are able to reach a wider net. What it does is it helps you see which queries brings users to your site. So you are able, using the console, you are able to sort of sift what exactly it is that people are looking at or looking for within your site, and helps you analyze your site's impressions, clicks, positions, and the Google searches, like I said earlier. It also shares site maps, and individual URL for crawling, and it also helps with email alerts when Google identify issues around your site. So where you have issues or broken links or anything like that on your site, this console is the go-to place, because it then helps you find those gaps, show you how you can fix that. And I think over time, if you use it, then your site becomes a much better and pleasant place to have, or to run your business. And the next one that we're going to look at is Google My Business. So what Google My Business does is you can use Google My Business as a tool to manage your online presence across Google Search and Maps. You are able to create a listing which companies can use to engage with your business. You are also able to market to consumers and increase your visibility. And you are able to leverage insights to find out how many views you have or listings you've had, how and where your customers find your listing. So it tracks how and where your customers find these listings, the actions that the customers take in your listing. So where you have listed, what is it that your customers are following? And lastly, it also tracks interactions with customers, and so that you are able then to use all that data to build on your marketing strategy. There's also what we called Google Trends. With Google Trends, you are able to search features that show your popularity on the search engine. So where you have Google Trends, you are able to track what it is on your site that pops up more often, and what it is that makes people come to your site more often, so that you bring that more across within the site, and then it helps build traffic on your site. What it also helps is when you use it, you are able to view whether a trend is on the rise or on the decline. So where it's on the rise, you know that there's something that's happening around that issue. So you need to capitalize on that and build and make sure that you're marketing in the right way. And where there's a decline, you try and find what other trends are there, so that you can build on that and make sure that there's always a consistent and constant traffic that's flowing within your site. You also find demographics insights related to certain topics and related queries to help you better understand Google Trends. I think what it also allows is to display interest in a particular topic from around the globe, or down to city level. So it doesn't limit you geographically. So you're able to follow or to see how you're trending internationally, nationally. So you can expand the view, or you can limit it to just where you are if you are just a local business. But where you're looking to expand, I guess it would help you there. And I think lastly, what we need to look over and above everything else, is that Google Trends helps you rise above the competition. When you like I was saying, when you use it, you find relevant trending information. You monitor competition. You are able to search using particular keywords, obviously based on what's trending. You are able to promote around season. So if what you're offering is actually seasonal, you're able to pick up on trends and able to promote it accordingly. And you are able to then find topics according to regions. And what we're going to look at lastly is Google Analytics. And I think this is a very powerful tool. When you learn to use it correctly, I think you can build a lot of information that could sort of direct your business. I must say, using Google Analytics is a skill that you build over time. But I think it's important for every company starting or already big. This tool will help you with furnishing you with customer information and sort of help direct your business. So what is good Google Analytics? So basically what Google Analytics does is it helps you understand what customers do on your website. So what do we mean by that? You get to understand your site and the apps users use to better check the performance of your marketing content, products, and a whole lot more. You also Google's site also can give you access to Google's unique insight and machine learning capabilities to make the most of your data. So if where you're not good with reading data, it sort of directs you on what is it that you can look at, and you're able to filter the information so that it shows you the type of information that you are interested in. So the platform allows, and I think it gives you various information about your clientele or your customers, but you are then able to filter and channel it according to the information that's important to you. So you are able to direct what it is you're looking for. What's nice about Google Analytics is that it works with Google's advertising and publisher products. So you can use your insights to deliver business results. So the idea behind Google Analytics really is about business. I'm going to pause there for any questions. If there are any questions, this is the time for us to ask the questions. If there are any questions, we'll be looking at them, and in the chat box we'll be asking. I see that Motepe Sifala says, how does Google My Business work? So Google My Business helps you to sort of be able to create particular trending words or terms within your site, so that when someone is searching for a particular service, then your business is able to pop up because there's that offering in that service. So when you do have Google My Business, it becomes an advantage, because where an ordinary person is sitting and is looking for a particular service, because you are part of Google My Business, then you're able, your business name is picked up far easier because of the structure in which your website sits, or the keywords and terms and how they sit is placed in your site. I see Sifala, I hope you have been answered. I can effectively use social media to analyze my customers. Thank you, Brenda. That's very true. I think we had a look at how, or rather we briefly looked at some of the social media platforms that allow for this. And one of them was Facebook. And I think we spoke about Twitter briefly. Yeah, so I think let's carry on with our slides so that we see what else it is we can learn. So now we're going to be looking at understanding and analyzing our data. So what we have on Google Analytics, on the dashboard, when we look at a closer look at Google Analytics, is that one, you are able to see the geographic locations. You are able to see popularity over time. You are able to see active users within Google. You are able to see visits within your sites. And you are able to get some tips on how to acquire more users. Right, so now the big question is, how does one set up a Google Analytics account? Right, if you don't already have a Google Analytics account, then it is quite easy to set up. You just go to google.com/analytics, right? So it's google.com/analytics. And then what you do is you have the name of your account. This is important if you've got multiple accounts, right? And then you choose the industry category to help you when you benchmark against others who have tagged the same industry. So for examples, if you are looking at consumer electronics, or you're looking at marketing, or you are in education, it's important that you actually identify or choose the industry you're in, so that it's then the analytics is able then to sort of direct that particular type of information towards you. Right. So once you've done that, you now basically have your Google Analytics account, right? Right. So each Google Analytics account, you are able to track your site's performance, right? And I guess this is why you want it. You want to know how your site is performing, and each site has got a tracking code, right? And where do you find this tracking code? You find the tracking code in the administration page. And once you've got that tracking code, this is the code that you're going to be using in order to track your analytics and the information that you would ideally want to track, right? And when you do have this tracking code, you are going to be using a website builder or a blog. There may be a simple field where you can add the tracking ID on your website. So within your website as well, you need to fill in this tracking code so that it links to Google Analytics. So the very same code that's used within Google Analytics sits on your website or your blog, and then it matches, and then the analytics is then able to track your analytics or your site in order to create the analytics. Now, all Google Analytics reports are grouped into 4 main areas to help answer these questions that we have mentioned before. And these questions, if we remember from the beginning of the sessions, are: who are my customers? We're looking at your audience. How do they find me? Your acquisition. What do they do when they are on my site? The behavior. Have they completed the goals I want to track? These are the conversions. So whatever audience you have, whatever audience you attract onto the site, have got a path that they are following, right? So they start off as basic users, perhaps they're just searching for you. And when they do find you, you track their behavior. And in tracking their behavior, you sort of try to lure them such that eventually they are able to use your service or they buy your product. And then in that way, you are able to mark them as conversion. So you have converted a potential client because they are on your site into a full-on sale. So it's a full-on process that unfolds within the sites, especially once you've created your analytics page and it's linked to your website. Right. Data in Google site. The what dimension. So when you look at the what dimensions, you look at all the different channels, and then you look at the number matrix. So you also are able to mark your new users. You are able to mark the reoccurring users. You are able to mark the sessions that the users are going through. So you are managing to track the amount of time you are able to track the amount of time that's you are able to track the amount of time that your users are using in the site. Right. So we go back to the REIN concept, and when we look at the REIN concept, we answer, how are people finding you online? We've looked at the different type of tools or how they can find you. And then you look at the engage. What are people engaging with when they find you online? So you learn which pages are not getting any views, so that you can amend them and change them as needed by the clients. And then we have the activate bit, which speaks to what channel is driving the most bookings. So for a particular part of the site is what people are engaging with. So you identify which referring sites drive conversions, and then you work on marketing those and making sure that you build on those, because those are what actually grow the business itself. And then lastly, we look at nurture. Are your customers happy to leave a review? Because that information, you get genuine feedback from people who have used the product or the service. And then you are able to respond to reviews, good or bad, because those inform the direction in which your business is taking. And then you try different ways to encourage purchasers to leave a review and what works best. And then what works best, you do more of. Right. And then with Google Trends, what happens with Google Trends is you explore what the world is searching for by entering a keyword or a topic in the Explorer bar. You are able to see stories curated by News Lab. You are able to see daily search trends, see year in search data. You are able to find guidance materials about news and labs and trends in that particular field. So where you are looking at what your competition is doing, Google Trends is what you are going to be using. So how do you promote your business around seasonal trends? So seasonal trends allow your business to stay relevant and competitive. Throughout the year, your business will experience peaks and dips that will impact obviously on your revenue. Then you'd be able to create content about current trends and adjust according to what the demand is. So in the event where you are selling women jackets, you know that your peak will be in winter. So you know that your marketing peak will be around winter, and in summer, you would possibly want to see where you could possibly market summer dresses or something else that's lighter, or you could be marketing something that's to do with rain. So when you use Google Trends, you will note that you're using particular keywords, and those keywords are what will direct you, or well, those keywords are what will make you appear or pop up more often than not, right? So that's that for that part of the session. We are not going to pause for any questions. However, we're going to go and ask, what are your next steps? So today's session, we've learned a lot about marketing. We've learned on how we can build our Google's analytics. We've learned about the different tools and how we can use these different tools to build and make sure that we market our businesses. We've also learned that there's a lot of data that we can get from the analytics, and the ideal situation is that you should channel the type of data that you want to see in your analytics platform and use that information to inform your business. Because once you market your business from an informed perspective, then you are able to drive a larger market who will potentially convert into using your service or buying the product. So what is it that you will implement next? What is it that you will implement next, right? It's important that you try some of these tools, and once you've tried and tested any of these tools, just keep on learning about the different marketing tools. But from us, this will be the end of today's session. Thank you all for coming and joining today's session. If you'd like to hear more about upcoming session as well as digital tips and tricks, you can follow us on Google Digital Skills Africa on Facebook and Instagram. It is the same on Twitter. So on Twitter, it will be Digital Skills AF. On Facebook, it will be Digital Skills for Africa. And on Instagram, it will be Digital DKILLSAF. The moderator will share all the links in the chat box. And thank you for joining today's session. Phew.